Alright, I didn't have my little microphone with me, but I do want to talk about pottery. Oh, look at my street. I do want to talk about pottery because I'm in the city of pottery in the world. The best city in the world. Pottery was invented here. It's Jingdezhen in China. And two things: why I'm here and why I love pottery, and then what I've learned and discovered. So pottery is nothing new. Pottery has been done since the Neolithic times, and pottery is just taking, or earthware, we call it earthware. Earthware is taking earth, so things on the ground, mix it with water, and it creates mud, make it into a shape, and after just put it in drying under the sun, then you can use it as a storage container to either use it as a plate or use it as a storage pot. And the reason why Jingdezhen here is very famous is because the earth here is kaolin. It's a very, very unique earth that's only found here. It's like it is a natural resource. This kaolin, this earth, allows you to make very, very thin pots of very thin clay, and you can bake it at 1,400 up to 1,400 degrees Celsius, and it's just stunning. So the high temperature is not something that all clay can withstand, and because it's so thin, it's translucent, it creates this beautiful luster to its shine, and that's why I love the pottery here. More importantly, as a person that is absolutely in love with pottery, I go to museums all around the world to look for pottery and just understanding it better. So this week, in my birthday week, I've decided to bring myself to Jingdezhen just to go to the museums here and just understand pottery a lot better here, and of course to buy more earthware. So very, very quick history. Firstly, pottery was done here in Jingdezhen, and it started in the late Tang, early Song dynasty, so maybe 1,500 years ago. And the whole refinery process started then. It's more of the Song dynasty period where it started. After the Song dynasty was the Ming and Qing dynasty, and those were the two latest dynasties before China's moved away from the emperor lifestyle, the emperor dynasties, to the modern day. And of course there's a lot of history in between, but the Qing dynasty is where the last emperor of China existed. Anyway, in the last two dynasties, Ming and Qing, there are a few emperors that really, really loved pottery. They could be my best friends, seriously. And so that's where the innovation of pottery started. And before that, it was just pots, and then maybe you just carve something out of it to create some simple designs. And in the Song dynasty, you started to have a lot more more beautiful carvings. In the Ming dynasty, that's where you could have more sophisticated carvings, and then colors started coming in. And I believe it was primarily it was blue, and then they started to have red as well. And then towards the Qing dynasty, you had more colors. You have like the 5 different colors, so like yellow, red, blue, green, and then with that you can mix colors and you can have a lot more colors. So that's where the evolution of pottery started. More importantly, the pottery, because clay is so beautiful here, you can make it so thin that it looks translucent under light, just like bone china. And 1,000 years ago, in the Qing dynasty, no, that's less than 1,000, maybe a bit like 500 years ago, there started to be a lot of international trade, especially during the Qing dynasty. And this is where you have China being, that's why it's called China, because it's made here, but you have porcelain and earthware being exported to the rest of the world, primarily to Europe. And this is why in Europe you have a lot of production of China right now. In the UK, in Germany, in Czech, in Slovakia, and a few other regions, I don't remember, but they still make China, or they still make porcelain today. Bone china, which is one of the things that I collect, is created in the UK. And that is because in the UK you just don't have this quality of earth that you have here in China, in the city. So to do that, they mix about 18 to 43% of crushed up animal bone, hence bone china. It's bone plus china. And it's added this way to replicate the thinness, translucent but strong bone china, or strong china pieces. the difference is that in here in China, where they make this kind of translucent ones, it's usually more of tea ware, tea sets. They're very beautiful. I bought a lot of pieces and I'll show them at some point. But because they're so thin, they're not as, because they're very kind of soft, you can't make big pieces. So tableware is it's quite hard to find tableware. In fact, it's impossible to find tableware of the thinness that you have in bone china using the china pieces here. You have the soil here, the clay here, to make tableware, but it's not as thin as bone china. I like bone china because of its lightness and translucent aspect, and for that you need bone china. So, fun fact, and I'm just learning all of these, in this trip. Bone china is more for tableware pieces for that light translucentness, and then here for the light translucent ones you get a lot of tea sets. Because to make it in the bone chinas, or to make it into dinnerware, it's very, very, very expensive. So you have much thicker ones. And of course here you can also make big vases, beautiful ones. So that's what I have learned, and it's absolutely stunning. There's so many ways you could use ceramic to make art. It's not just tea sets or tableware, it's big vases, it's art pieces, it's almost like instead of painting on canvas, you paint it on ceramics. It's beautiful. And I'll take you to see some of them. Look at this. Isn't this such an impressionist in style? I love it. And I love how ceramic can also be done as art pieces. So instead of drawing on canvas, you do it on ceramic. How stunning. And it's such a challenge because so many things can go wrong in the process. Look at this vase. Look at this beautiful art piece. I think she's wearing the dress of Qing dynasty in wintertime. It's beautiful. Stunning. So of all the colors, red is the hardest color to design. You can see this is broken. So red is the hardest, and this kind of red is one of the most expensive color, because you can see the red has these little lines and strokes, and that's all natural, created during the process of baking. Now the thing is, from what I understand, in red, when 10 of them goes into the furnace, the kiln, to be molded, to be burnt like this, 9 of them fill. So the reason why these things are also so expensive is because so many products fill, and they need to charge a bit more to cover the cost. So the failure rate is just so incredibly high. But oh my gosh, the shop has all these certificates on top, and these beautiful red. They specialize in red over here. Beautiful red pottery. Stunning. So this is an example of pottery, and this is a tea ware. So if you look in the sun, it's actually quite translucent. You can't see it here, but these are all hand painted and drawn. So the way these things are made is that they're very thin and light. They are baked first. I don't know what the term is called, and then it comes out. You draw on it, and then you glaze it, and you put it into the kiln again. So China is known for teaware like this, and you have a lot of, like, tea is not just pouring tea into a mug like this. It's not coffee. There are a lot of different ways of making tea into these little, you've got teapots, and you've got this to drink tea directly, or when tea goes in the teapot, because you only put tea, or a specific kind of tea, you just soak it for 30 seconds. You pour it out into something, I can't find, you pour it out into something like this, and then you can put it into these small little tiny tea cups. And there are a lot of different styles to it. See, this is a plate to put tea on, to serve tea, because otherwise it's very messy, and nobody likes messy, ugly things. And this is an example of a lot of teaware in China. It's absolutely stunning, and I see about 1,000 pieces every single day, just going to these different shops and understanding tableware, teaware a lot better. There are genuinely so many shops here that I wish I filmed this when I come here, but I'm only filming this the last day before catching my train to leave. So this shop is where they take old pieces, like really old antique from the old dynasties, like I think I saw one from Song, and then the Ming and Jing dynasties as well. So these are broken pieces, small little ones, and they take. And what they're doing is to. Oh, 我可以进去看。
可以，当然可以。我刚上厕所去了，不好意思。
谢谢。OK。
它是一些古董的碎瓷片做的一些饰品。
对。So you can see that these are from the old dynasties. Like this is from the Ming dynasty. Oops, doesn't focus. Yes. So this is a piece from the Ming dynasty, and what they do is they make jewelry out of it. And I thought that was a very brilliant way to repurpose all these antiques, because in modern times, not everyone is going to use pieces like this to not everyone drinks tea, for example, but you can still incorporate these pieces into your life. This one is from the Qing dynasty from 1736, and they just have all these old ones. So like this for example is something from the Qing dynasty, and I mean they didn't use this exact one, but they used similar ones to make necklaces. How cute is that? So this is an example of something from the Song dynasty, and in the Song dynasty, again, because this was where ceramics was only being introduced, and so there aren't a lot of specialization, and there are no colors, but there are a lot of sculptures in place. So you can't see the color here, but it's a bit more of a light teal. And so this is in the Song dynasty. It's about almost 1,000 years ago, and this is one of the rare pieces because, again, in the Song dynasty they don't have color. The only way to get black was through certain kind of mud they found, and through that they could make this marble-like structure. And this is quite a rare piece because it's usually just these white colors or these light teal. So this is quite interesting. I really hope all the audio of my films are working because it's fascinating. I'm not someone who films like this, ever. Not in public, because I find it quite embarrassing, but there is no one here, so I'm just doing it. And I want to document these because it's part of my knowledge, and I want to share that, even just for myself, for reference in the future. But I noticed when I started filming like this, especially when I speak in English, people are just kinder and more willing to allow me to do the filming. Because in every shop, because these are all very unique designs and pieces, they typically don't allow for any filming or photography in case you copy their designs. But because I'm filming like this, people seem to be more willing to allow me to do whatever I want. It's fascinating, and I can understand the rise in people doing all these online filming because it gives some form of strange power to allow you to do whatever you want. That's both strange and fascinating. All right, so the area that I'm in is this like old clean thing. So you can see over here, it's one of these factories, and this is now repurposed into a design center. So you have all these artists and unique designs coming in exhibiting. So there are a lot of shops around just exhibiting unique designs, hence you can film. And here there is one of these giant, I believe this was a factory in the past, and this one behind me, and now it's an exhibition center for people. Like they rent out small little shop spaces to showcase different pieces, and you can buy from them. So I highly recommend this area. It's also, if you're into those photography stuff, this is also great because a lot of cool places to take pictures at. One of the signature design is this peach thing. So I believe it's the Ming dynasty where they have one of these complete pieces, and instead of pink background, it's a white background, and these beautiful peaches. I think there were 9 peaches on it. So I really gravitated towards the piece, And I noticed that a lot of these designs, they are replicating the olden times and the design. So they have a lot of peach styles, and which is one of the classic designs. You also have a lot of flowers. Yeah, people really love flowers here. So there are a lot of flower designs in there, and you can see your shop looks like this. You just have a lot of pieces available. The thing that I'm quite surprised about is the lack of gold and silver used, and I think that's probably a bit rare because I imagine, you know, with bone china, right, you always have gold trimming, 24 karat gold trimming. At least that's how all my pieces it has that, and I'm surprised to not find that here. It's quite unusual, I think, but whatever it is, it's just they're all still very, very beautiful. This is another street where you have a lot more little shops and little designs, and they're primarily all just tea sets, teaware, and you can find dinnerware, but they are all like this shop. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, that's dinnerware, but they are all not bone china. Bone china will be all the teaware. So this is another design shop where they have more modern designs using the old techniques, and I thought this is very interesting. So look at this. You have, it's all porcelain, but you have this beautiful scale-like structure. All these pieces are all very expensive anyway, so actually these are still quite okay. So this one is persimmon, and it's made of porcelain. They have a lot of these fruits. They're all porcelain as well, but more importantly, I want to show these ones. So I talked about how they don't have gold and silver trims, but this one specifically has it. So you have silver trim for the first one here, and you have gold trim, and they're all these are little wine glasses to drink the wines here in China. Like, I think it's called white wine. I don't know, whatever, they're rice wine, and it's very beautiful in design and structure. So the shop is quite cute. You have very modern designs and modern takes of all antique methods, which I really like. This east-west blend. Wedgwood is my favorite because they just have very nice, interesting design. So this is my favorite set. It's still my favorite set, and the blue one I think is just stunning. Blue and gold and white, to me, I think it has the highest value of color contrast. And this series that I've only seen in China actually is also really, really stunning. So the prices, I love it.